Hi everyone, my name's Sammy from AinServ Sounds. In this video I want to show you an interesting effect, and I hinted at it in my previous video when I pulled up the disperser. Now the way it actually works is a little bit mysterious to me, but I know it has something to do with distorting phase in different parts of the audio spectrum. I don't really know if there's a common name for it, but I think phase dispersion or diffusion kind of works. Personally, it sounds to me like a very rubbery kind of sound. Now over the years I've found different plugins to make this sound. I guess I heard it first in like electro music, and it's become especially obvious to me that my smartphone does this to absolutely all sounds that pass through its speakers. And I think for the most part, people have kind of created this sound not so much by accident, but as a byproduct of various plugins that split a frequency into multiple bands and don't do a perfect job of maintaining the original sound. So it's one of those cool audio effects that's come about as an artifact in processing. Now I've made a video about this in the past, but I'm making another one now because I found a way to do it in Ableton Live with no third-party plugins. It's actually something I've tried before, but making a small adjustment this time yielded the result that I wanted. So to start with, let's just take a look at the source material we're going to work with here so I can show you the effect. Now, I've got all these synths routed to a bus, and on the bus is just a sidechain compressor. So it's pretty straightforward. And by the way, notice how our levels here are peaking. We're going to come back to that later. So here's how I've been doing this effect for a long time with this disperser plugin from Kilohertz. So you can hear the effect in full force right there. But let's take a look again at the levels here. Notice how much the peak of the audio here drops with this effect enabled. And you can hear that as well. It fits in the mix so much better. We've brought up the RMS. It seems to shift the focus down into the bass region, and it really cleans up and mixes nicely. So this is not an expensive plugin, and you could just use this, but I do have an alternative for those of you who have Ableton Live. So let's take a look. So it's actually very, very simple. We're just going to grab the EQ3 plugin here and drop it onto the track. And you can immediately hear on these settings that similar effect. The important thing here though is to right-click and activate flat response. Now we're just going to duplicate this. So now it's more pronounced. I'm going to duplicate it again. And you can just do this ad infinitum, though it does get pretty crazy. I've yet to discover how far you can push this. But for now I'm going to stick with 4. I'm going to highlight them all and hit Command G. That's going to make a group, so I can bypass them all at the same time. Now it's important to note that the settings on each one of these is identical. So now we can really play around, and it's interesting to hear the way it affects the sound that you run through it. Let's bring in a little bit of unison here. So that's really nice. Let's take a listen to it on Serum. This is just Serum with a single oscillator and a bit of white noise. And this is not only good on bass lines, it's also good for any synth material. So that's pretty cool. Now, to go along with this, there's another thing I've been wanting to show you, and that is just how to bring out the sound of your synth even more, especially if you're working with a synth in mono, like Repro. That's Repro 1, by the way, which doesn't have the stereo unison effect. So what we're going to do for this is quite simple. I'm going to load up a free plugin from Voxengo. It's called Sound Delay. Then we're going to load this preset here called Stereo Delay. And I'm just going to pop this right here as well. This is going to create a stereo widening effect. It's called the Haas effect. So let's take a listen. Now, there's something else we can do to spice this up a little bit, make it sort of gel better and create more interest. And this specifically involves Ableton 10 Suite, but you may probably be able to find an alternative plugin of a similar type in your own DAW. And as far as amp simulators go, I like this one a lot. So all we got to do here is choose a mode, tweak it a little bit, and find something that works well with our material. And if we want, we can also jazz up the delay a little bit. I'm going to load up Cabinet here. It's going to give it a very interesting frequency response going into the delay. So those are my tips today, guys, on fattening up your synth sounds. I'm just gonna play a little bit of outro music and fade to black. Keep an eye out for my new Repro 5 bank coming out, and if you haven't already, check out my Repro 1 bank, which is called Prometheus.